So now with our models all set up and with some data being added through our admin view, I now want to make sure that for the front end of our blog, so what our users, our visitors see, we of course also now use that data from the database with help of the models. And currently in Views PY, we are of course using that dummy data, that all posts list with our dummy dictionaries. I will now remove that here, or I will at least remove those dummy posts in there so that we can rule out that data is coming from there, because now the goal is to step-by-step migrate those view functions to use the models and get the data from there. And let's start with the function which is responsible for this starting page, where we also of course have these free blog posts. So this starting page function here. There in the past, we basically sorted all posts by date with that getDateHelper function, and then we got the last free posts. Now, of course, the goal is now to use our model. And therefore, the first step is to import from the models file here in that directory, import the post model. And then in starting page, we can build a query as we learned it in the shell over the last sections. We can reach out to our posts with post objects, and we could get all posts with that all method here. We could also filter for posts if we wanted to, but here we don't really want to filter. We only have two restrictions, and that's a limit of posts which we want to fetch. We only want to get free posts, and we want to order our posts. Now for ordering, we can call order by. We can call this on the result of filter, but we can also call it on the result of all, since we can generally call it on any query set, and all also just returns such a query set. So here we can also call order by and then pass in the key by which we want to order, and that would be the date here. So one of the fields in our model, in this case in the post model, that date field. I want to filter by that, and we can filter in ascending order or in descending order. And I want to filter in descending order with a minus here to make sure that the post we added the last is on top. Now that gives us the ordered posts, but we only want to get free. And here's something very neat which we can do with Django, which we haven't seen up to this point in this course, which you might have done in your solution still, and which is absolutely correct. We can now also take a slice of that result here with that default slicing syntax we know from Python, so by adding square brackets, and then to take only the first three elements, we use this slicing syntax. Now a couple of important annotations here though from my side. For one, you might think that this is bad for performance, because you could think that here Django reaches out to the database, gets all posts, and then slices all posts in Python. And that would be very inefficient, because we would needlessly fetch all posts from the database, even though we only need three, and then we would filter them in Python. So we would get way too many results from the database and then also have a performance hit when we filter or when we slice these results in Python. But thankfully, this is not what's going on. Django is smart, and it will actually convert this entire statement here into a SQL command. So it will not get all ordered posts, but it takes this slicing syntax also into account and actually creates one long query, one long SQL query based on this entire line where it already slices when fetching the data from the database. So it only fetches free results from the database because of this line. That's some optimization which Django does for us behind the scenes automatically. It is important to know though that for this, Django does not support negative indexing here. So -3:, as we did it before, would not be supported here. But that's no problem, because since I'm sorting by date in a descending order already, I now want to get the first three dates, because since we're starting with the most recent date, because of that ordering, I want to take the first three posts because that will be the three most recent posts. So therefore, this one line does all we need to do. It gets us the 3 latest posts, and therefore I can now get latest posts and pass them on to posts here to my starting page. Now, if we save that and we go back and reload that starting page, I get an error. Failed to look up for key image in post object. And that makes sense because in my post model here, I do have a key named image name. That's where my image name is stored in. But in my template, if I have a look at the index.html file for the starting page, there in this template, in the post then, in that included post, I am referring to just .image. This should now be .image_name, since that's the field name in the post model. And we are now working with that post model. So that's something we need to change and save. And then we can reload here, and this now looks way better. Now those posts are being loaded correctly. And therefore, let's now move on to all posts, where of course now currently nothing is showing up because we haven't updated this method yet. In case you haven't implemented it on your own yet, maybe try implementing this page on your own now. In the next lecture, we're going to do it together again.